This is CoralVue podcast, and we're talking about hydros. This is our celebration. We
Yep.
do this every year on Halloween. It's kind of like our State of the Union. We go back and look at the year, and
we made it another year.
We made it another year. I mean, I can't say
not too bad for a DIY project. I mean,
They're back.
So HYDROS is 5 years old, actually. And most people would say, yeah, I think some of the people here also argue, no, it's 4 years old because the control for it. But technically, HYDROS has been around because of the wave engine.
yeah,
It was the HYDROS wave engine. So the wave engine is 5 years old.
That was a strategic move, Carlos. We were always working on the controller of it, but we figured we would put out the wave engine first to get it on the market, get people, using the app and everything that goes on in the background.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that people liked about HYDROS, or they currently like about HYDROS, is how different it is from the other controllers that came out, whether you're a controller that is still around or a controller that came and left. The one thing that we wanted it to do was to make it different and to make it easy. We did not want to fall into that trap of just trying to make a controller better than something out there, but you end up falling into the trap that only the techie people can use it.
Right.
What about everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the one thing that we did about HYDROS. Is HYDROS was about the 80% and not the 20%.
People that aren't, day job is not in IT or, coders, and it was really, the idea was, and we've said this before, all of us come from our competitor's controller. We've been doing this a long time. And for us, Monday mornings, it was the service calls to Carlos to figure, can you get into my system and repair and see what's going on? And can you do this code? And it was like, man, what is going on here? We're running service here for our competitor now. Product is basically what happened, to the point we were like, you know what? We can do better. We can come up with something we believe is better. And I think a lot of people think or agree that we have.
Looking back, also remember how we used to get a lot of slack for the HYDROS cannot do complicated things. And boy, has it changed.
Yeah.
We haven't changed. I mean, the app is able to do now. I mean, obviously there's a few features that we've added, but the core features, everything, it's there from day one.
Yeah.
The combiners, the generics, they're there from day one. Using ands and ors has been there for day one. I think it took a while for people to shed off the preconception that if you are using a WYSI form that doesn't let you code, then you can't do complicated things.
Right.
And I don't know if you have noticed, because we have, you and I have been to trade shows, and I don't remember the last time someone told me that, oh, it can't do complicated things anymore.
Yeah.
I think we're past that.
I agree. And if it does come up, then we're like, tell us what it is. And we go to engineering, and, you see that we're readily putting out new updates, and so we're constantly improving the app and the functionality of HYDROS, and that's never going to change. It's ongoing.
And speaking of, I mean, the improving the functionality and also listening to customers. Let's talk about, let's do a recap of 2024 and let's go back to the launch.
This has been a big year. A lot of hardware.
A lot of hardware. And the first one was the launch.
Yeah.
And let's go over the launch. What is it that made I don't want to go over the details of what the launch does because we've covered that a lot on other things. But let's talk about how the idea of the launch came about. What was the need for it?
Yeah, that basically, it was when we got into this, it was a lot of people seeing these different controllers, we had, and the biggest question is, I don't know where to start. And the real answer was you could start anywhere, but there was no really defined, okay, let me grab this controller to start with. And so we were like, hey, we need to come up with something where we can present this, put it in front of somebody, and they can grasp the concept of this is where it starts. And build on from there when you need more AC outlets or sense ports, drive ports, pH probe, whatever we can add on from the launch. And that was the concept. That was our idea behind it. And it's been pretty successful.
It has. I mean, we have the competition. They have one controller, one brain. The benefit for them was that the fewer items you have, the fewer choices you have. And the fewer choices you have, the less of confusion you create to the customers. The drawback of having too many options is that it gives you that inability to make a decision because you can't choose one.
Mm-hmm.
So having the launch, it created this blatant device that says, hey, this is the starting point.
Yeah.
This is where if you want something easy, you just want something to pick up and grab and start with, this is the launch. We also got into dosing.
Yeah.
Besides the extend, more options on the dosing. I mean, the first one we had was the Minnow.
Yeah.
And to me, the Minnow, I like the launch, but to me, the Minnow is kind of like the one that is like, really, I find it useful because it has so many uses for it. It can be used for regular dosing, like somebody that is advanced. But the one thing that doesn't get too much credit is the Minnow can also be a starting point, and it's a really good starting point for a small system. Let's say you have a 30-gallon system, Dave. Are you willing to spend $600 on a 30-gallon system? Maybe yes, maybe not. I wouldn't. Right. So give me something that allows me to monitor temperature, monitor water level, do automatic top up for my evaporation, give me a spare pump from one chemical, and then also allow me to put a leak detector. And all those things can be done with a single Minnow.
For $250.
Exactly. $250.
It's a great entry point for a smaller system, like you said, into HYDROS.
And if you decide it's like, 6 months from now, you love the hobby, you're really into it. And like what usually happens is after the 30-gallon tank, you upgrade to a 200. Then do you have to get rid of that Minnow and put it away? No.
No, bring it with you.
Bring it with you, buy more, you get more HYDROS controllers and you build the HYDROS controllers. It's almost like, a Lego.
Yeah.
You keep adding to it and it keeps growing with you.
Yep. And as it grows, it just gets more robust in terms of its reliability, repeatability with those multiple brains, each one being a backup, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that was a big thing. Another thing that we did also is that we upgraded the app, the look of the app.
Yep.
I mean, it may have been something subtle. It may have been something that people are like, well, that's not really a feature. But I'm a believer of the little things. The little things make a difference.
I think it shows our commitment to this, that, we're not going away. There's a lot of work constantly ongoing. So much going on in the background here. For me, it's even hard to keep up sometimes, but yeah, we're just going to keep coming. It's not going to end. It's going to get better and better. So
yeah. Before we move on to the next part of the show, Dave, we always have to have some, we have to have some advertising,
yeah.
So today's podcast is brought to you by The Launch.
Yes.
So let's talk about the next big product. And that was the big one. I mean, it's amazing what type of feedback we got from people about this product. And it's the Maven.
The Maven. Yeah. So yeah, the response has been overwhelming. It really took me by surprise, really, how many people have bought into what we're doing with Maven. And I guess to give you, everybody an update on this, we set a goal for ourselves to reach a release for this Black Friday, and we're not going to make it that. And, me being totally transparent, it was my doing, because in these last few months, we've gone through 5 different revisions where engineering has found, in our testing, we found ways to make this better, almost to the point, Carlos, where this device is like a Swiss Army knife. It can do multiple things that we haven't even shared yet. And it got to the point where we were like, hey, let's go forward with what we got. And we can come out next year with a Rev 2 or a version 2, a Gen 2. And I'm like, man, I don't think that's right. I feel like it's a $1,200 machine people invest in. And then next year we got Gen 2 now. And everybody that's invested into this, they're going to be soured on us. And I'm like, why don't we there's some parts we need to do this. We have to build the boards after the 5th revision, parts that are needed in addition to as we revise these boards. But I was like, you know what? Let's hold back a few months and do what I feel is right and give people the best that we can come with. And that's not to say at some point later on the road, we found we can come with even more or something better. But for right now, I feel like this is such a big thing that people want automation in their aquarium for water parameter. We need to come with what we can give them as our best effort from the get-go. And so that's what we're going to do. In a nutshell, that I'm delaying it, and that's the reason why. We're doing a lot of testing still. But as we go, talking to you, Carlos, before, I want to start gearing up, our videos and as we get closer to this release of talking about, repeatability, talking about what we're doing with the reagents. There's some interesting things there. So we're gonna, be coming forth with that here in the next few weeks, a month, and so just look for more from us and more marketing from us with Maven.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that we can take from this is that we did not want to release a it's good enough product.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me put it
And
that way.
believe me, we could have,
Oh yeah,
and
you
maybe
could.
people may not even that would know because it works as it is.
Yes.
But I'm like, we finding out how we can do more than what we got.
Not
You
only
know,
that, Dave, is also is we've seen the other machines out there, and now that they've been around for a few months, we can see some of the things that people are not too happy about.
yeah,
And that has honestly, that has allowed us to really harp on those things and make
hmm
sure that those things are correct. And in the
yeah,
process, we have actually found different ways of doing things that actually make it better.
yeah. We're gonna put the best product we can forward. That's
Yep.
what I can tell you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
So
I tell anybody that's angry over it, it's like, look, you got other options too out there, and there's no hard feelings. Whatever equipment you do decide to go with, my only recommendation to you: do your homework. It's your hard-earned money. Do your homework and see what's really going on, and if it's something you want to invest in.
yeah.
So
At the end of the game, this is kind of like our unofficial motto internally when it comes to Hydros is we don't do things the same.
mm,
Whatever product we decide to do there, we're not going to copy it. We're going to make it better.
yeah,
And that has been our motto from the very beginning. It's like we're not here to copy a product. We're here to take that product and make it better somehow. We need to advance the hobby. So,
yep.
so that's the news on the Maven. I know
More to come. More to come.
Yeah, more to come. More to come. I know it's not what you wanted. Some people wanted to hear, but trust me, in the long run, I think
I think
everybody's going to
happy.
be.
Yep.
You're going to be happy.
Yeah.
You're going to be happy. All right. So then the other product that we had, another big product that we had in 2024, because 2024 was just full of hardware. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I still can't. If you had told me, Dave, that we were going to release 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big hardware products
I know.
in 2024, I would have said, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah, I might be.
Are you crazy? But no,
Yeah.
the soul, and that is one of my favorite products.
Yeah.
And what was the reason for the soul? I mean, I think it's one of my favorite products because it kind of like it was something that you and I needed, you and I wanted, and you and I pushed for it really badly.
Right.
But what was the reasoning for the soul?
I mean, for us, Carlos, we really have learned a lot about using sulfur denitrifiers and being able to regulate the flow based on the ORP reading, and especially a negative ORP reading, which HYDROS can read. So having that controllability as well as the speed of the pump, 300 mils a minute, how quiet it is. That was a big driving force for us with that product.
And for me, what I liked about it too was that it's made to run 24/7. And I'm not talking about just the motor itself, because there are other dosing heads, dosing pumps out there that are made to run 24/7, but they still use the same thin lines, they still use the same rollers. And it's like, yeah, you could run it for 24/7, but you have to
Constantly
do maintenance, service it once a month. And it's like at that point, it's like, which balance out the benefits.
I think we were both, we're using, we could say the Comor FXSTP. Once I would run that thing over 90 mils a minute, it's a noise from it, the constant breaking of the tubing. It was just getting to be a service nightmare. And I'm like, we can do better than this.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with the machine. The FXSTP, it's a workhorse. I mean,
Yep.
it's still
Sell a
one of our
lot.
best sellers, but it does have its limitations. It's like
Mhm.
any other equipment. Once you get to that top part, the top part of the range,
Yeah.
then it got a little louder, and yeah, the line broke because it was just getting chewed up. It just
Mhm.
couldn't take the rubber just couldn't
Yeah.
take that much beating all the time.
Yeah.
So Dave is, let's come up with something that I can run at high speeds and still take that beating. And to me, the Soul was the first of a kind because it's the first time that we truly started using medical grade equipment in the hobby, because
Yeah.
that equipment, the Soul, is made for hospitals.
Yeah.
It's a great product. It works for low capacity, meaning 0.1 milliliters per minute, and it can go
Mhm.
up to 300 milliliters per minute. So
Yep.
it has a wide range.
It actually has even more range than that on speed, but we purposely bring it down just to keep it to where you just can't just run this thing into the ground.
Well, and also we have to, mainly the main reason why we had to cap it is because of the temperature, the
Yeah.
heat.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
If we would have gone with a much bigger box,
Mhm.
then we would have
To
been able
absorb
to
that.
run it a little bit
Mhm.
higher speed. But because of the footprint, we had to, there's mathematical formulas that you can do to make sure that the heat can be dissipated and it doesn't damage anything. So
Correct.
yes, exactly. All right. The other product that we actually released as well, and it's not fully released, but we announced it and we're doing a lot of work on it, is the Hydros XHOs powered by
Yeah.
Reef Bright.
Yeah. Yeah. This is another good one. And this is, if you could kind of see our timeline and where we're going next. This is kind of just our foot in the door or the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, when it comes to lighting.
Yes.
But yeah, we're
And
working with Tulio and Joy at Reef Bright, and anybody that knows them, they've spent their lifetime in the industry, working in lighting industry, doing a lot of work with research facilities, public aquariums. They study in light and they have a lot of knowledge to bring. And I wanted to team up with, we can do a lot ourselves, and we could just throw some diodes on there and come up with some blending. And I felt like, hey, let's work with somebody that's actually spent so much of their life in this, studying what these animals need, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're working with them to come up with, like you saying, Carlos. We don't want to do what's already been done. We want to do something better, and I believe we're on that path.
yeah, I think, and most of our listeners that are regulars, they know this, but if you're new, Dave and we both have tanks.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything is, we want to create this lights because I want my corals to grow.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes, it's a business. We also, we have, just like any other business, you have to generate revenue, you have responsibilities, you have people, salaries, and so forth. And, so we have to weigh that into consideration. But at the end of the day, at the very basic, the core is that I just want my corals to grow because I
yeah,
enjoy the hobby.
me too. I'm still
That,
addicted to it after all these
yeah,
years.
exactly. It's just that we have the blessing of being able to develop products instead of waiting for somebody to do that, for
Yeah,
somebody else to do it. That's what it all comes down to.
yeah,
So the LEDs, and I want to touch upon this, the LEDs that Tulio developed. I mean, anybody could say, oh, I could just go overseas, there's several websites that you can go overseas and buy LEDs. Like you said, mix them up. Oh yeah, it looks good. It
yeah,
looks good. Let's just go ahead and put a par meter in there and say, oh, it's 500. Okay, this is great. Let's just sell it.
yeah,
But the Hydros XHO, it brings the what the corals need, because
yeah,
Tulio and Joe have spent so much research and time doing this that we made it just as important for the light to look good aesthetically, but it's just as important that the light has the correct ppfe par, and it also has a much fuller spectrum. So it actually gets closer to what the sun is, instead of just putting any LED there and throw in some reds and greens so it looks a little bit whiter.
Looks, yes, full spectrum.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's the one thing that I think we wanted to harp on, and we emphasize at every trade show. It was the spectrum, because we want people to see the difference.
Yep.
We want people to see that this is not just any light. This is different. This is better.
Yeah, actually, Carlos, give a plug to Polo Reef, and Tulio was there recently, and they did some data with his instruments on this. He calls it the white spectrum, but it's a very unique. When you look at the color spectrum, it's almost like you would see with the sun, where typically you're looking at these peaks. You know, when you're looking at an LED spectrum, it's blue, and then it kind of fades off, and flattens out with the different, yellows, reds. But with this LED, this white LED, it almost looks like it's an even play and even field of light with all of the colors. So you don't have this big spike. Now you're going to see those blues through other diodes, but it's specifically the one
white
channel that is so unique. And I'm really excited about it.
Absolutely. And what I like about it is that it reminds me, I mean, from an old timer here, is it reminds me of those Iwasaki bulbs, the old metal halide bulbs that, we all knew you put that bulb over your tank and things were going to grow. I mean, corals were just, because it was the closest thing that we could get to the sun, in our human minute way of looking at things. It was the closest thing that we could get. And then when we switched to LEDs, I think the benefit of saving electricity, of heat, allowed us to move away from spectrum and par, and still think that it was okay, because the benefit from the heat dissipation and from the reduced electricity was so big back in those days that we were willing to give up par and spectrum. But I think the pendulum is swimming back now, and it's like, okay, no, it's 2020, 2024. I want both.
Yeah.
I want both.
And for our blue fans, Carlos, tell us about that VHO look diode that he has.
Yes. So for our blue fans, because I've always, I've known Tulio for years, and I tell Tulio, you got to give me an LED that looks like an old VHO super actinic. Yeah. And some of you don't go to Google. You're not going to find it. And the reason why is because it is incredibly super, even with today's cameras and electronic eyes and the iPhone and all this thing, it's really hard to capture super actinic. It's almost like trying to capture a black light.
Yeah.
So if you can go online and you can try to find it, but you're not going to find anything because there isn't. But if you were there back in those days, as soon as you turned that super actinic bulb on, it didn't turn the tank blue. It didn't turn the tank white. But for some reason, as soon as it hit that coral, it just made it fluorescent.
Yep.
And so I believe it is what everybody now is trying to do, but they're trying to do it by adding more and more, much blue as you can.
Yeah, all kinds of different nanometer blue range to try and achieve it.
And it's because they've never seen, some of those people haven't, obviously they were not around when we had the actinics. So they have never seen it. So I asked Tulio, and Tulio went back and worked on this LED. And then as soon as I saw the LED, turned it on, and I'm like, whoa, there it is. There's the actinic that we wanted.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to make my tank so blue to get it to pop.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And that's part of the new light as well.
Yep. And we were actually at one of the trade shows, and we had just a 1 foot sample of it, and we put it over some of the corals at the Worldwide Corals booth.
Yes.
And
Yes.
just that one, holding it in hand, you should have seen the colors. People saw it and were like turning around. They couldn't believe, like, whoa, what is that?
What is that?
One little 1 foot strip.
1 foot strip. I mean, the light has a lot of it. There are no hot spots. It's evenly spread. I think some people have also said that it reminds them of old timers. It reminds them of the old European reef tanks that were all lit by VHOs.
Yeah.
It was just a nice, even, balanced, really sharp, nice pop tank. And you're like, wow, this tank is beautiful. The growth, it was amazing. And then you looked at the lights and they were all VHOs. And here in America, we were big metal halide fans. And we're like, how can you grow corals with VHOs only? And that just shows you how limited our minds are, that we pigeonhole a light fixture based on, visually what we see. And we say, oh yeah, that light's not going to grow corals. It's like,
who are you to say?
Yeah, who are you to say that?
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, maybe not. But it's like, there are many ways to skin a cat, as they say.
Yes.
And that brings me to looking forward into 2025. And I think, the one thing that we're going to be safe to say is that we're not going to release 5 pieces of hardware when it comes to 2025. I think we're going to come down. I think what we can tell people is that what we want to do is we are going to work with other manufacturers.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was one thing we've always told people, is that we want to work with other manufacturers, but they have to be willing too. And now we're starting to see this shift where people are coming, okay, you guys might be for real with this. Can we get some integration with your controller? So that's what we're, going to do a lot of next year. There's plenty of things in the works with that. And you may see one more new controller sometime next year as well. So we always got something in the works, but it won't be as radical as this year.
Don't sell it short. Don't sell it short. But then again, we're not going to say anything about it. I think the Maven was the exception to the rule, that we released it early. I think we're going to go back to our old way of doing things, which is we're not going to say anything until we're ready.
Yeah.
So we do have more hardware in the pipeline. And I think people are going to be happy. Is things that people have been asking, things that actually that we can see that in the market, on the market, there's a need for it. So, but I think the partnership with other manufacturers, I think that's the big one,
and more software, app work.
Yeah, we are
more of that.
Yeah,
a lot of requests. We are always listening to people. And if anybody has any suggestions, we love to hear it. We do listen.
Absolutely. And we're growing, but at the same time, you can rest assured that even though we're growing, we have no plans of creating a wall garden, as Dave calls it. No, we want to work with other manufacturers. Heck, even manufacturers that have products that we already have.
Sure.
Come on over. At the end of the day, it only makes HYDROS better, and it opens up a new section, a new block of audience to the other manufacturers. So it's a benefit, and at the end of the day, it only benefits the end user.
Absolutely. And I always say I would be crazy to think that people are only going to buy our products. It doesn't work that way in this. People like assortment. They like making their own decisions on what they want or believe is best. But that doesn't mean we can't work with another manufacturer to have this integration and to get along together and to grow this hobby, this industry is the ultimate goal.
Yes. Be patient. Everybody, I know a lot of people ask for features. I know people ask for add-ons, and let me put it this way: we are listening. So it's just a game. Yeah, it's fluid. We listening to people, but just be patient. We ask for your patience. That's one thing that we do ask. I want to thank our listeners,
Yeah.
because without them, their hydro support, they're buying the product, they're learning the product, and best of all is that the great thing about social media that does get lost and all the bad things about social media. The great thing about social media is allows people to help each other, even if they're in different they're in opposite sides of the country.
Yeah.
So thank you to the people that the CoralVue Hydros Facebook group.
Yeah.
Thanks
Absolutely.
to the people at the Hydros forum. Thank you to the people at CoralVue Cares, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do.
Yeah.
Without them helping us help others, it allows us to turn around and use our time to develop the product instead of turn around and have to help people. So you guys, the people that are out there answering questions and helping, no matter how small a question is, or no matter, it's like, did you turn it on? That's help. That helps us, and we truly appreciate that.
Yes, very much so. I can't speak highly enough of our Facebook group, Carlos. I mean, the amount of people. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we were ridiculed for only having 300 or 400 people on there, and now it's over 5,000. And
yes,
it's the quality of people, and they're willing to help others, and that really makes it, I think, enjoyable experience for us, for the consumer. Yeah, it's just it's a family, and that's what it feels like. So thanks for everybody for that.
Thank you for purchasing the product. Thank you for giving us a chance. Thank you for being open, and over the last 5 years, and being open and giving us a chance when everybody, when other people's they dismissed us. So we appreciate that. We don't forget things like that.
Yep.
Trust me, we don't. Dave, as the head of this, making decisions, what do we work on, what we don't work on. And I don't envy you, man, because you're getting emails, phone calls. Oh, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. Oh, or sometimes they're not so nice. Sometimes it's like, you guys suck. You're not doing this. And to filter on that and not allow it to get to you, and still put out a product that helps the masses and still stay the course.
Yeah.
It's not, that's not easy, man.
It's not, especially when it's something you love, I honestly love this hobby. Always have since I'm 8 years old. But, I pour my heart and soul into it, and just trying to make the best that we can, and hopefully make people happy with what they purchase.
Yes. So with that said, thank you again to our listeners. If you're listening for the first time, subscribe, hit the thumbs, hit the bell. If you want, we do this on a weekly basis. You can listen to us on Spotify. And if you want to see our beautiful mug faces here, you can always go to YouTube and subscribe to the CoralVue YouTube channel. Thank you again for listening. Thank you again for watching. Thank you again for the years of support. And we are here to. We're here. We make a commitment to you that we're going to be here, and we're going to continue to develop the product. And actually develop it, move forward with it, not just maintain it. Thank you to our producers, Jeremy Reichel and April. I know they're always working hard, and they make this show happen. Thank you so much, everybody, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Be safe,
Yeah.
and thank you. See you next time.
Bye.